Welcome everybody to another Freedom 35er sit down. This is a series where we get to know more about artists and creators in the CNFT space. My name is Tommy. I go by TLMY.
My name is TJ. I go by Lazy T.
And I am the other Tom. I go by Lavish Bear.
And tonight we're joined by the co-founders of Hoffine Horror, Josh and JPEG. Welcome on, guys.
Hi there. Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
awesome to be here.
Yeah, we're excited tonight. We get something different inside the space over here. This is our favorite part about doing a sit down, is seeing something new, especially coming into the blockchain tonight. So we have horror and NFTs, a combination. So this is going to be a fun one tonight. And again, we appreciate you guys setting this up. And JPEG, thank you guys for reaching out and getting a chance for us to finally sit down. Guys, sure. So the first question we always wanted, we're going to get into the horror, we're going to get into the backstory, the inspiration. But we always kind of ask when people jump on is, how did you guys get into Cardano? Why CNFTs? And, why are you guys looking to launch on this platform? And I'll kind of kick that over to you, JPEG, because I know you're the NFT expert on this side, and then we'll kick over to Josh as well.
Yeah, man. I mean, I came into NFTs, I was like, I kind of saw CryptoKitties happen back in 2018, and I really didn't know exactly why NFTs were valuable, and I just didn't do anything. And then, when 2021 hit and there was stuff like Top Shot and CryptoPunks kind of came on and Beeple came on, it was like, oh, okay, wait a second, this is a killer app. This is like a really, really awesome way for the blockchain to have value and to provide this kind of proof of ownership, right? Mm-hmm. So, I was looking at the ETH space though, and it just seemed like it just was a little bit too hypey. It lacked authenticity, and somehow I stumbled upon Adadolls, and back around this time, and I had heard about Cardano before, and I'd heard about proof of stake. And the more I dug in, the more I saw the community, I was like, okay, this is really, really cool. So I just dove in head first, and I got really involved in the unsigs community, and really got involved in things like Dead Pixels early, and Cardano Warriors and Cbits. And it's just I was just really I loved the space, and at that time I was telling Josh, I was like, I think your work would do really well here. Right. And so it took a few months for it to kind of because he obviously had people tapping him on the shoulders, you should do NFTs, but it was really more of put something on OpenSea and kind of see if somebody would buy it. Right. Mm-hmm. And I was seeing these projects get built on Cardano, and I just felt let's do something special with your photos. Let's do something really interesting. Let's make a club. And around October of last year is really when we started planning, when I started to develop what the project really is. And Josh can talk a little bit more about, kind of the process from there.
Well, that's awesome. Josh, what's your thoughts on when he approached you about an NFT project?
He mentioned it, but he wasn't the first person to bring it up to me. I'd had about 20 people sending me messages once it started hitting headlines, dude, are you doing this? You need to check this out. But I really didn't understand the complexity of the blockchain at all. Mm-hmm. And so Justin was the first person to come forward and said, you should do NFTs, and I can tell you exactly how to do it. And he laid out this plan that was ambitious and totally fit everything I wanted to do. And it was more about, building a community, a space, not just about the artwork and NFTs, but for horror in general. And I was like, man, I would love to do that. That would be a wonderful way to interact with the new fan base and, invade a new marketplace that I'd just learned about. Really? Art is happening here? I want to get on that. And when I looked around on Cardano, I didn't see any horror, anything remotely close to what I was doing. So it just kind of encouraged me to, storm the castle.
Where do you pull your inspiration from for the pictures and everything?
The photographs, usually I'm looking for something that's universal, something that everyone can relate to, which means that I just kind of focus in on myself. If it scares me, it's safe to assume that it's going to scare other people as well.
Right.
And so you try to look for those phobic pressure points in construct an image that will elaborate on it. But it's not about making movie references. Typically, I don't really make homages to films, or I don't try to do a Freddy Krueger picture. I'm looking for something original, something universal. And honestly, the more cliched the idea might be, like a monster hiding under your bed, the more I'd want to take a photograph of it, because I knew everyone would understand it, but no one has ever seen it.
Right.
I mean, well, I was going to say, just because you mentioned how you don't really see any other kind of like horror like yours as far as on Cardano, we have had some projects that have had kind of like small elements of like, oh, that guy's a little bit supposed to be, you know, scary. But most of them, you know, there's some projects just do it in a fun way, or they just have like a spider web, but it's still like a fun Halloween-y thing. But otherwise, none of it is anywhere near like the level of actual horror, like, or just the feeling, like the unsettling feeling some of those pictures that you have give you. I mean, there's some projects that are a little unsettling to look at, and it's usually just because that's how like uncanny and weird the art is, because it wasn't that great in the first place. It was just like, it's just something off about that. But when you look at yours, where it's really like at that level of like, oh man, I don't want to look at this anymore, but there's so much to look at here at the same time. Like I can't stop scrolling through these. They just keep getting crazier. Oh, there's my cat.
And that's another
too.
Yes, he's looking at one right now.
Yeah. It's like...
No, that was one thing too, which is very different about your artwork, right? You say some of these things, you know, they're all artist based or cartoons, whatever it may be, but these are real life like photographs, right? And you recreate these scenes. So that definitely gives it that more real and authentic feeling that kind of like touches that nerve a little bit when you, like you said, you're looking at that and like that kind of just throws you off a little bit. And like you said, I really appreciate, which we'll get into here in a sec, is the inspiration, like you said, of like your childhood fears, some of these things, because I think I share some of those same fears.
Oh, 100%. Like walking downstairs you're unfamiliar with, like, someone's gonna be behind, they're gonna grab my ankles, or you're watching TV by yourself and it's dark and then I'll reach over and grab you. That's 100% just normal fears that everyone has. And you brought that to life.
Yeah, well, in a real way too. So that's one of the things, like as we get going in here, I want to go ahead and pull this up, and I want to talk just to get that out here, what the actual project is here as we're coming into this, right? And then we can get into a little bit about what it is, what you're going to get and all that. But can you guys just quick explain, you know, what the mint details and things like that? I know you guys just came out with a date right now. Yeah. So usually people are asking, what do we hear? We have horror NFTs, and it looks like we have some dates here. Can you guys kind of explain where you guys are going with this model?
Absolutely. So, and I'll take this one, Josh, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. So what we're doing is we are building essentially what is a membership club, right? Mm-hmm. So it's a Hoffine Horror Society. And what we're going to be minting on June 13th are our founders keys, which I believe that we'll be revealing one of those tonight. Awesome. The common one. There are three rarities, and we'll be showing the common one tonight. But on June 13th, we're going to have our whitelist mint, and then whatever supply is left over for the public mint, we'll be opening that up to the public on the next day. So the whitelist is still open. We're trying to get to a certain number. We're not really revealing that number yet. Okay. But once we get to that number, we're going to close that and then only offer very, very few spots after that in giveaways. Okay. So we've got a little bit of time left here, but June 13th is that whitelist mint. So definitely you want to get in on that whitelist, because they might all be gobbled up by the whitelist. That's a possibility too. That's all.
So one thing, okay, no official numbers, right? We don't have a collection number quantity, and we don't have a cost yet. Those have not been announced, right?
That's correct. Yeah, the quantity hasn't been determined yet, although we do have a number in our head, but we just don't want to limit ourselves right now, because really, right. I mean, you're talking about a club, right? And so we want to be able to get as many people into a certain number, and then we want to close it. But we'll just say that we're pretty close to that number. And then as far as the mint price goes, the market's been pretty volatile right now, just the broader crypto market. Mm-hmm. And so again, we have a number from a USD number that we have in mind, but we really don't want to announce that until much closer to the mint date as well.
Right, that makes sense. Yeah. So that's one of the first things that I wanted to jump into. Like I said, that kind of set me, perked my ears up, is the membership club, right? Like these NFT projects out here, the big ones survive mainly because of a good, strong community. A lot of them, the artwork and stuff will carry it in the beginning, but it seems as we've evolved into this NFT model over here, people want more. They're asking for utility. They want to be felt felt like they're part of the group, so having a membership over there is definitely an interesting way of doing things. And like you said, trickling out drops throughout the year is a cool way about going into stuff. So I kind of wanted to first touch base into that. So we got I wanted to just showcase this too as I went to the road. It was the first image you see. It was just like one of those. We were talking right before we got on here, like how funny would it have been if you guys would have just jump scared us before we got going. But this is the website over here. So we're on joshuahoffine.com. And then, so these are the Hoffine Horror NFT. And like I was saying over here, it says, my role is to show you what you don't want to see. And I think that's an awesome quote right there, because it's definitely some things that you would hope not to see over here. Some of these images. So I wanted to kind of get going, like you said, that model that you guys are going over there. So there's 12 different images here, and the name of this collection is called After Dark, My Suite. Can you guys give a little bit? I know, Josh, that for you, these images were taken 2003 to 2009, somewhere in that time frame.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, awesome. So
been your babies for a while. All right.
Yeah. So this is, I wanted to get, you can see some of the initial images here on the screen. Can you, and then obviously there's going to be one of these tied to that founders token, which we will reveal towards the back end of this. But Josh, can you kind of give, like you said, TJ, the inspiration behind some of this stuff and, your background on how these NFTs or how these photographs came to be?
Oh, sure. I did. I started almost 20 years ago in 2003. And I had worked at Hallmark Cards before I went freelance. And while I was there, I remember having a conversation with a buddy of mine protesting the fact that there was no such thing as horror photography. I love horror movies. I love Stephen King. I love everything about the genre. And I just pointed out that you have movies and novels and comic books and video games and board games and everything imaginable except for photography. Why do we spend all our time making pretty pictures? Why doesn't anyone just step forward and try to make a picture that is designed to frighten you? Yeah. And I think maybe within a year after I had left Hallmark and was shooting on my own, that's exactly what I started doing. I started making photographs with my kids that I labeled horror photographs. And the original set, there were 12 images total, all starred my children and focused on the idea of childhood fears. And then I would stage them like small movies with sets and costumes and props and fog machines and everything I could do to sort of create this cinematic tableau and capture it in one frame. And perhaps because of the uniqueness of what I was doing, there was no such thing as horror photography yet. It went very viral very quickly, spread all over the world, was published in dozens of magazines, featured in the news, Esquire, LA Times, New York Times, London Times, Russian Playboy, Atlantic. It just seemed to go everywhere. And because so many other photographers and photography students saw the work and were so excited about it, other people started making horror photographs as well. And it kind of snowballed into, I think 20 years later now, an established subgenre in photography. But it kind of comes back to me using my kids to scare people.
Yeah, that was one of the, I think the shocking things, which there's an image here. I have to find it right here because it was like one that really startled me. I think when I was scrolling down, I got towards the back end of this stuff is where there's a witch with like a baby's head in her hand.
And she bit into it.
Yes, and that would freak me out. This one right here, I was just like, okay, like that looks a little real. Like
that the babies were harmed in the making of that, right?
Yeah, yeah. I got 2 points to bring to that fun photograph. One, that's my mom playing the witch.
That's amazing.
And so I told her, no one can play this except for you. I said, you are the Jungian archetype of the devouring mother. That's what the witch is. It's got to be my own mom. Right. And so I was able to get another expert, a special effects artist, to do the mask for me. It's not makeup. It's a pullover mask that was designed. Oh, but no one would do the baby head for me. No one would touch it. They thought it was too sick an idea. Yeah. So I ended up doing the baby head myself. And so that's one of the last major props I had to make on my own, but it was literally because no special effects artist would do it because it was too sick a request. Ever baby's head with a bite taken out of it? And I'm like, no,
I'm good.
Not doing it.
I'm not touching that one.
I've never seen, like I said, that's the start of an image right there, because I've seen, like, I don't know if you guys have ever seen like the cakes that look lifelike, where they like slice the cake and you kind of like see like that. I was looking at this and I just kind of, for some reason, like made me think of that. But this, so that's no CGI, there's no effect or anything in Photoshop. That is all
No, that's
right
a straight photograph. Yeah, absolutely.
That's very surprising. I thought this was at least photoshopped on some layers. Like even that, the baby, I figured that was just a picture of one of your kids and then just, cropped out the head and added a little bite. I did not realize that was actual like practical.
How do you word that, Tom?
Props and effects.
Yeah. I try not to do any compositing if it's not necessary. And there are certain instances, like my zombie photograph Last Stand, where there's a toddler standing right next to a shotgun that's going off. And so there was just no way to do that safely. And so I would photograph the whole set minus the toddler. Everyone would leave, and then we'd put the toddler on set and photograph her on her own. And because the camera hasn't moved, the lighting hasn't changed, the focus hasn't shifted, she's very easy to comp in, and you can't tell afterwards. Right. And when you have composite work, like in advertising, when things are photographed on green screens and then put together, everything's in sharp focus and it has a kind of plastic flatness to it. And so staging it on a large scale like this, it's hard to tell on the computer, but if you're to see a full-size 4-foot print, then you can really see how the focus falls off. You can see every detail, and it starts to become very obvious that this is not a digital composite. Somehow he must have done this for real because there's no giveaways. And so I like doing it straight, but it also has a bigger payoff when you present it in front of an audience.
Oh, I can imagine this stuff. It does I think that effect really, the fact that you do it that way really does gives you that good payoff in the end. Like you can, like I said, you can feel it almost more versus like, you can see an image online, but this, you can like almost feel like the textures, like, cause it is like, everything that you've done and it is real. Right. And to some degree, obviously this is not a dead person, but and the prop on that. Right. It looks that
all
way.
about the camera. It's what I can put in front of the camera.
It's one of those things where like we may not have like the best eye for it on our end too. So when you look at stuff, automatically especially anything that is that is obviously not going to be a real picture of someone taking like their intestines out. So you're like, okay, where was this? Like, let me just see, like, where was this photoshopped in, or what part of this is fake? And with these, I just figured it was as good as like, oh, that's just how good it is. You can't even tell.
Yeah, that really happened. Tommy ripped his intestines out of her.
Yeah, that was an intense shoot.
Yeah. So I can see. So over time, obviously, here the early 2000s, like you said, 2003 to 2009. So these are all the children. These are all your children that were built into some of these sets.
Almost all of them are my daughters. There's Chloe. She was my superstar, and then her sister Shiva, who's coming down the steps. She was also the big participant. But if I needed a baby, and you'll notice there's a couple with infants, those are that's my nephew, and the other baby is my niece. And so my sisters would promise me I could use their babies sometimes before they were born. Like, can I shoot this when the pregnancy's over? And I'd get permission to do it right away.
I gotta ask, was this spider actually on the baby?
Yes, but it was not a live spider. It was taxidermied.
I got you.
That makes a lot of sense. What about even the clone one or the clown one? I was looking at the one below where were those at the same time?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And is she deathly afraid of clowns to this day still? Like, does she still hate clowns forever?
Finally, she does not like clowns, but I'm not sure if this photograph is responsible.
Just to blame, okay.
Yeah.
It was actually her grandmother playing the clown behind the sheet. So that's grandma, and she has no makeup on her face to keep her from being too scary. Okay. So I don't think that this is what did it, but yeah, she does not like clowns.
Yeah.
That's actually funny.
So it's really interesting to kind of see the journey, like you said, from the early 2000s until once you got past that 2009, at least from what I'm seeing here, you started to kind of open up, like you said, the sets to more like darker, like this image. I actually really enjoy this a lot right here. This one looks really cool. But yeah, as you started to go, it started to get a little more dark, maybe in certain degrees. Maybe like this one right here is for sure, right?
When they were children as my stars, there was definitely a deliberate sense of whimsy to them. I wanted them to be pretty, almost like a children's book's illustration. And I also wanted to consistently use the visual iconography, the visual grammar of a child. So I wasn't going to reinvent the devil. It would be a red horned devil. That's exactly how a picture would be drawn by a child. That's exactly how I'll do it. Right. But once the kids kind of aged out of the project, I opened the doors and I was like, well, it doesn't just have to be about childhood fears. It can be really anything. The genre as horror is so wide that I just started thinking about other concepts, other metaphors. There's my other daughter, Arena, who came in as a teenager. She's the eldest of them all.
Okay.
And then that's her cousin, my little niece that she's holding. But once I started opening it up, like this one's very bright and whimsical. But once it got into adult stuff, yeah, sometimes it started to get a little less brightly colored, a little less cheerful.
Yeah.
Still beautiful, I hope, but it didn't have the same sense of childish whimsy.
No.
Well, that one with the what I think it's called Lady Bathory, because I know it's by, I'm guessing that's the like Elizabeth Bathory story there. So like you said, you don't really pay homage to like fictional characters. Like you're not just trying to kind of, I guess, bank on that pre-built Freddy Krueger or like Jason. So everyone's like, hey, I recognize those things. So I like this now kind of thing. Whereas that's like a real story person, you know, who knows, I guess, how crazy it actually got so long ago. But it's interesting to see like the historical context to some of these too. And just how much more goes behind that. And that's one of the more hardcore ones for sure. But it fits in well. The juxtaposition of her with the face mask and like the cucumbers on her eyes as well, where she's kind of just like relaxing. This is just my me time on a Wednesday. This is just how I do it. That's pretty wild.
Horror as a genre is inherently metaphorical. It just comes with the territory. And so when you had something like Lady Bathory or the other follow-up I did, Jack the Ripper, you know, it became an interesting opportunity to say something about those characters, because Elizabeth Bathory is sort of a cipher, but the desperate and sometimes dangerous pursuit of beauty and youth at any cost is a very zeitgeist concern. Likewise, with Jack the Ripper, we don't know who Jack the Ripper was. He's really our mental construct of what he might have been. But it's interesting that everyone agreed upon him as an aristocratic predator. And so you have the wealthy preying on the poor, which is, I know you can't see it in these details, but there's like change falling out of her hand. And so that sort of like class contrast was perhaps more interesting to me than the before and after approach that was the main pitch. But amongst our friends, when I'm fussing with the money and like being very particular about the way it's staged, it was to make sure that you understood that this was
the top one.
Wealth murdering the poor.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I'm zooming in a little bit finally over here because the internet's working a little bit better. But yeah, you can see all the details. It's incredible when you zoom these in. And it's fun too. It's like you said, you get to find different things of how you kind of imagined. Like you said, it's fun to go back and my initial, you know, we're focusing on the knife and focusing on the woman, but then like you said, there's change down there and that represents that, what you just said there. So
it's subtle. It's not meant to, be an editorial photograph, but I think part of the reason it works or it kind of has a deeper resonance is because I'm kind of trying to be conscious of what the subtext should be for any particular horror scenario. And if you understand what the subtext is, it really helps inform all of your dressing decisions, all the production design choices.
Yeah, well, it's very, like I said, it's the graphicness. I really do appreciate it. And, it goes a long way. So these are all the different, you know, photographs that, you know, some of the work that you've done over throughout the years. And it goes up until about what, 2018, I think was, at least on the website. I published my book in 2018. And then we started working on a really big project and the pandemic hit. And the project that I've started is so large and unwieldy and expensive that when Justin came forward with, how about NFTs? I was like, oh man, that might be the way forward on many levels. So I've got big plans, but I haven't really produced a lot of work, not for hire, just for myself over the last 3 years or so. Yeah, well, it's super interesting to see. Oh man, like this, like some of this stuff too. The zoomed in pictures they get you even more. But you can't. It's like I don't want to look at this, but I can't not either. I'm like fixated on it. Like even the facial expressions and stuff. So there's this all makeup and stuff like this. The same set, all built in obviously in real life.
Yeah, same thing.
That's awesome, and it's incredible actually. And this one coming in on this one zoomed in is too much. So okay, so we have
scroll past it. Tell me I have to watch cartoons before bed tonight. What do you mean?
No. Everybody who's watching this is like, no, we're not going to do this. Yeah, some of the Jekyll and Hyde.
I didn't get to see through all the way down through these. I was wow.
Yeah, they're very.
That triptych's really, really cool. That's actually 3 images.
This one, so the third one down here. Okay.
Oh, that's cool.
Wow, these are. I love the sets. I love the attention to detail. So, do you go to various locations to do this? Or do you have a set in like a certain studio or something?
It's a combination of the two. I try to shoot on location whenever possible because it's definitely less expensive. But some ideas, you just need a set to pull it off. And so it goes back and forth. My cousins ran this amazing haunted house in a small biker town close by called Bonner Springs. And it was a building they had access to year round. It was an abandoned schoolhouse. And so after October and Halloween season ended, it became my de facto studio. And so we spent 4 or 5 years just building sets in there when they were closed. So yeah, a lot of set building, but a location, it has a lot of advantages if you can find it.
Oh, wow.
If you guys want to scroll back to Last Stand real quick, that is, it's the one in the zombie photo.
Yep.
So yeah, go back.
You went past it.
Yeah, you
go
went
down,
past
Tommy.
it.
Oh, I did. Sorry.
Yeah.
There we go.
Right.
It is right there. Yeah. Yeah. So that one that's the one that I really helped Josh out. That was the first one that I helped Josh out with. And we're talking about, this was an entire Kickstarter campaign that we raised money for. We had to bring in 2 special effects artists. All the appliances were made to fit, these people's faces. That entire room was built inside of that haunted house.
Oh, wow.
Like that was specially built.
That's really
so like
cool.
it could have been a film set easily.
Yeah.
That's how detailed it was, because every single, even the vents up there in like the top left, all that stuff was inserted to make sure that none of that was functional really. Right.
Yeah.
It's a shell. It's really just a shell room. And the level of detail, you're talking about, we raised, I believe it was like $12,000, Josh, but easily, $50,000 to $60,000 of donated time and effort and travel and labor just to get this one shot.
Yeah, it's incredibly detailed. Like I said, I can pick so many different points to stare at, but it's really neat to hear the haunted house portion of that. I couldn't imagine. I would not want to go through your guys' haunted house over there. After seeing some of these images.
It's a good one.
This is amazing over there. So to dial this all back, right? We've seen this amazing work that you've done. And now we've gotten this now into the NFT portion, and that you guys are going to be releasing this collection. And like you said, it is going to be like a membership that's going to be over the next year. So can you guys, I guess we're going to go through, I know you have a little bit of a detailed kind of roadmap, just to, we're going to talk about the founders and different whitelists and things like that. Can you guys give us just kind of an overview of what you guys are thinking for the project, AKA the roadmap and NFT land?
Yeah, absolutely. If you don't mind me handling this one, Josh, I can go jump in at this. Yeah. So basically, on June 13th, when somebody mints the founders token, they'll get one of the 3 rarities. And then, each one, it doesn't matter what the rarity is, you have the same access, and you'll be able to claim Swarm, basically the next day or a couple days later. Okay. Right. So we're doing claims. We're not doing airdrops, just because the amount of claims that we're going to have throughout the season. We're going to actually have 6 claims that are special for people who have the founders key. So that those are basically free. There's a small transaction fee just to cover the minting costs. Just because, like I said, it's like we sell 1,000 of these things, all of a sudden, things can get pretty expensive really quickly.
For sure.
So we're going to have a claim system for that. But the people who mint the founders key, Swarm is only available to them. The rest of the claims, just the way that these types of things work, we anticipate that, not everybody will claim the NFT. So whatever is left over from those additional 5 claims, we will sell to the public. As far as the After Dark My Suite, there are 12 photos in that series, and the people who have the key will be able to mint those first at a discounted price. So each one of those 12 sales, and then whatever is left over will then be on sale to the public. So, if we sell out, we sell out, right? If there is that type of demand, which we're hoping we have, but that's basically, we're going to have 18 essentially sales or claims throughout season 1. And then we're also going to have 2 HODL events, which what we believe are going to be new work that could also be burn events. So one of the things that, people in our Discord have seen is Josh has made his living making this work and then selling physical prints. And we have been doing giveaways for physical prints in our Discord because, that's cool. That's sort of the bread and butter. So we want to be able to have these HODL events for people who claim and buy a certain amount of pieces, and we'll, basically have like, you need to hold this amount of pieces or these pieces in order to mint in the HODL event. Only HODLers can mint those, and then to help kind of form new rarities around that. People will have the option to burn their NFT to get a physical print. Awesome. So we really want to bring we definitely want this to be NFT focused first and foremost, but then we also want to be able to bring that bring a print into your life if you want to put something up on the wall.
Right. Well, it's a good way to connect the two, right? Because at the same time, like, it's great to have that in your wallet. And I know we're working with these digital frames and things that are going to be, that come out over time. But it's something. There's just something about a framed picture up on your wall or just inside your home somewhere. Especially with these, I don't know if I necessarily want to display that and look at that all the time. Some of those might
right in the hallway when you come out of your bedroom and use the restroom at night, just right there.
Yeah, I got this image right here.
The 18 claims and drops for season 1. Only 12 of those will actually be available for people to mint publicly. There are 6 of those 18 that you will need to have one of the 3 keys, one of the 3 rarities of the keys to do the claims for, right? Out of those 18.
Yeah, you can do the claims. So here's the thing: the swarm will only be available. There will not be any what we're calling sort of like a sub sale. So like if there's additional additional NFTs left over, right? But basically, what we're thinking is like, let's just say, for example, we have 1,000 people that mint your founders keys, right? We will then offer up 1,000 of the NFTs for the claim, right? Let's say the second claim, right? And let's say 980 NFTs are claimed. Well, then we'll take the 20 and then we'll sell them publicly, right? Okay. What we hope is that people, everybody who has a founders key claims, right? Because that keeps it within the sort of founders key membership. But we know that that's not going to happen. So we anticipate having public sales for every single one of them except the first one. Yeah, Swarm.
Okay, cool. Very nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're hoping people will collect all 12 of them. Right. And so that's sort of what the system is built up, so that they have a reason and encouragement to come get the next one, the next one, the next one. But the fact that you can only get the first one through the founder's key was our way to really make it worthwhile to come in and join the club. So if you want them all, this is the only way you can really get them all. And
yeah. And the same thing with the HODL events. The HODL events will be kind of like like the first claim, so you'll have to get a certain amount. And we just kind of want to see, like, how many people are claiming things, how many people are buying things, because we want to make it fair. We don't want to make it prohibitive, where you have to spend a lot of ADA in order to get, that print, especially if you might, I found that when those types of things happen, people tend to buy 2, right? Because they want to hold one and then they want to burn one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or flip, right? Yeah, exactly. It's like they might want to flip one. But if it's a burn event, there was a thing called Bossigs last year, which is Boss Muse. He was he is a still photographer, and there was an unsig, somebody who had a really rare unsig, and they combined the 2, and that was a burn mechanism where people could burn any one of the pieces that they bought. Right. And what happened is people would buy 6, and then they would burn 3 so that they could get actual physical prints sent to them, and then they had 3 of the pieces. Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
So and all this, so each month what you can basically expect is, once this launches, there's going to be a new one of these the ADMS, as you guys call it, but After Dark, My Sweet drops are going to keep happening every month. You have something to look forward to. And there's obviously no randomness to it, right? Because it's the one image for that month. Is that how it's going to work? Right. So
there's going to be built-in rarities to all of them. I believe, yeah. So you see the rarities here where it's subtle. Okay. So like, with this piece, this would be the ribbon. that has a different color. On Swarm, it's going to be the number of spiders that are on the I guess the witch. I don't know what you would call that, Josh. I don't know what the white woman.
Witch works.
Witch, yeah.
The white woman.
Yeah, and so
Striga. Want some Witcher.
So what we want to do here is we want to, it's like the thing that I was talking to Josh about is like, we really want to be able to build, a market around each actual image. And, because I believe people like when they really get into this type of thing, they want to collect them all. Right. One of these, though, what we're actually that needs to get updated here is our ultra rare is going to be a 1 of 1. Okay. So it's going to be actually Josh's OG unadulterated original image. Okay. And that's going to be a 1 of 1. And there's only going to be 1 for each one of the drops.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. So that's going to be something that has been modified since, we put this website together and it'll be updated. Nice. But then each one of the other 3 rarities will have slight variations. Yeah. That, they can, kind of, there's a little Where's Waldo type of thing going on here. So it's not going to be anything massive. There's not going to be massive changes.
Right. But you wouldn't want to distract from the picture. You don't want her to have like a space helmet on or something like really
or laser eyes, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Something like that just wouldn't be appropriate.
Exactly.
Something pops up. Something subtle like that just kind of allows it to add some like extra in for the serious collectors that do want that kind of one to stand out and flex on it without actually distracting even from any of the picture.
Right. Yeah.
That's thinking.
Yeah, and like you said, these images have been around now. Like you said, almost, some of these are coming up on 20 years here. So it's, for me, I feel like it's different. Like if you were to modify these various, I don't know how, as a creator, I don't know if that's something that you would like to do or not, or you want to keep the, the integrity of the photo as it was meant to be from the original, without, like you said, modifying it too much. Because that would, you could always go the animated route if you wanted to do something along those lines, or like mess with it a bit. But I don't know that that's necessarily what you guys would want to do.
I think we'll be much bolder with new work where I can literally shoot different variations. Yeah. But all along, I was a bit hesitant to alter the imagery, and it just smacked as wrongness to like use Photoshop to shoehorn in a bunch of new stuff on a photograph that I was so proud of not doing in Photoshop. Right. And so the differences ended up being quite subtle, and Justin it allowed me to do it that way. But it's like, can we just keep it real sly so that there is a difference, but it doesn't dramatically change the image in any way to affect you. And so we also want people to collect all 12, and it would just drive me crazy if people were like, like 6 of these go together, but the other 6 were clearly from another, rarity. I want them, no matter which ones you have, to all line up and look beautiful in your wallet.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense over there. So it's cool. Like you said, you're building out the subsection to the end. You're catering to the new market of the NFTs, but at the same time, staying true to the original, design and, artistry that you created with these.
Wait, Tommy, before you move on, I do have to ask, because seeing all the other ones, you're showing the one, TJ, you kind of briefly mentioned in the beginning where she's watching TV and there's just arms coming out from the wall behind her. Seeing some of the work you guys have done for the other one, I'm assuming you built a full room here and then built this woman into the wall with holes in the wall. I wouldn't be surprised at this point, the amount of work that have gone into some of these. How was this kind of effect? This one must have been a little bit somewhere in there. You got to have had some help, because it just still looks so fantastic.
This one was really an easy trick, because it was a location that this guy had a room with that wallpaper in his house, and I was quite taken with it. So I moved the couch up there, and the secret is those arms are mannequin arms that I repainted and had nails to, and so they're disembodied and they were easy to place up right against the wall.
Oh, okay.
With the lighting, it looks like they're just totally sneaking around the corner. Yeah. The bigger trick was the TV. This was such a small room. I ended up using a very tiny television set, about the size of a Mac computer, and it's just right underneath the camera lens. Mm-hmm. And so it's actually a foreshortening trick to get everything in frame that way. But it's mannequin arms and a tiny TV.
It looks so real, the arms.
And having the front lit like that to because I know you use fog machines a lot of times too to bring in that actually practical effect instead of just overlaying some fog in Photoshop. But then the way that the TV kind of has that front lit effect, it really picks up the fog well in between her and the television to make it just that extra layer. I was going to ask, because that was my other question then, is if, was it just taking the saturation down off someone's arms? Or, would you just paint it, man, but the hands and everything, those were some solid mannequin arms. Those were very quality.
Yeah, they're just repainted and, fake fingernails added. And I think that shoot was so easy. I think it's literally one light. There's a flash aimed at the TV screen, and it's just bouncing off the screen and right into her. Man. And it's backlighting the fog at the same time, because if the light was going the other way, you wouldn't see the fog, but it's kind of backlighting it. So you get that atmosphere showing up. So yeah, some of them are quite difficult to pull off, but this one was miraculously simple. It was just me and Shiva and no crew, and it was easy to do just between the two of us.
Yeah, it's crazy to hear the backstory of some of that stuff and like take in like the appreciation of what it must have took to get that. And then to hear about, like you said, this is not Photoshop, this is not CGI, none of that. This is all created by you. So that's really, I really like that a lot.
What was that? What'd you call the, I guess the distance? Cause even looking at it now, like it seems like, I don't know, I'm not familiar enough with photography. Like it's like a short focal distance or something. Cause even the couch, the love seat.
Yeah. The shot you called it,
the angle, what kind of shot did you refer to this as, where it's all close together to all fit it in like that?
Foreshortening. And that's where you have smaller objects move towards the camera so that they look bigger, and you push other things further back to look smaller. So in The Hobbit, for instance, where you have Elijah Wood talking to Gandalf.
Okay.
It's a trick shot where placement is everything. And so, yeah, it was kind of that same idea where like a little TV up close will look like a full-size TV. That's cool. It's just kind of a camera.
I see. Okay. And it's almost like you see those trick rooms sometimes where both people stand on either side. One looks extremely tall, one looks extremely small, but they're really the same, size or whatever. And then you said you just kind of had maybe a buddy or a friend, and you'd seen this wallpaper. Does their house look this creepy normally, like that wallpaper? Or was it kind of like a help? Did the lighting and stuff kind of help with that a little bit?
That wallpaper was pretty awesome. It was aged. It was a rented house that my friend was living in, and that was in like the 3rd floor in an unused room. And so I just walked in. I was like, "Oh my gosh, you have a set on your 3rd floor. This room is amazing."
I don't know if I'd want to hear that from you. Like, hey, you got a setup here. I'm going to use
it's actually haunted. Don't go in there.
That's what I was thinking. Like, I see this picture and it's like, all right, well, we're going to, nail off and wall off that room. We're never going in there again. We're just going to fill with bricks.
Every time I walk in there, that's all I see, those arms.
Not just sitting on that couch again and then just like falling asleep and dreaming of that.
Well, guys, as we get towards the back end, because we could probably geek out over all these photos now all night after looking at some of these. I did want to showcase, because you guys have given us a teaser here, which obviously this the founders token is what we want to the key. Sorry, okay, I said key over there.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine.
Is what you guys we're going to be looking to buy into. And I wanted to go ahead and showcase this off. You guys have been generous enough to let us showcase this. So I'm going to pull that up here now for everybody for a chance to get ahead and see this. Oh yeah, let's take a look at this. This is, oh man, even the quality of these.
It does have nice. It has cool music that you can't hear in this presentation, but there's a little bit more to it when it's playing on a loop.
No, I can get some of that. I'll make sure it's overlaid in the background. We'll get the whole effect.
Awesome.
With it. Yeah, for sure. I'll get it in the background. Then.
Yeah. Each piece has a separate.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. Very nice.
So it's original. Yeah. So it just creates this nice loop. And this shows you 3 photos.
This will be the lowest rank. And are they calling that 3 or 1? Which way are they going? 1 is the rarest.
Yeah. This is going to be common.
Okay.
And then we're gonna have 2 more.
All right.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's got the After Dark suite, the founder's key over here. And then like you said, so this is what you're looking to get here. And this is going to be what's going to be minted over here on the 13th and 14th, or
that's
being
correct.
able to be awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Well, no, man, I'm excited for this. This is different. And in a scary way.
Seeing these kind of new things come to Cardano. I mean, it's definitely something that, like you said, Josh, it wasn't something we were aware of first too. When you hear crypto, it's just like, that's all those people making like $1 billion off of $10, luckily for no reason kind of stuff. But then you kind of, when you get joined in, we even jumped in, we're like, oh, we can make some money. That's cool. I'll try it out. But then you start seeing some of the communities that get built around things. And then even more so than the time I even get, where you see some of these projects, communities they get where people are in there every day hanging out. It really seems like horror it is already something that is incredibly popular as far as even to this day, like online forums and sharing and stuff like that goes. So seeing that on Cardano built around collecting it's not the focus on the necessarily the flip, right? The instant flip. It's more about the long-term collection and the shared interest of horror and, the heebie-jeebie stuff here. Like, I hate spiders so much. So those are
so Tom's gonna get the
bugs.
one.
No, I don't.
That's
even
right,
the bedside one gets me good.
He's gonna get the OG.
The old people and children thing really in movie. That's like my thing with my wife. Like, look, I don't want anything. It's like paranormal with old people and kids. I just can't do it. They're just standing still in a hallway or behind a door or something. Trips me out every
underneath
time.
the basement right here. That one.
Yeah, man.
Like,
I guess
just like, man, I don't want to go down there at all.
That little gooey. Yeah.
Well, I got to ask now. So then, I mean, I know there's a lot in between that. You got a whole season of drops. But one is kind of getting back into this since it's been a little bit since some of these were completed. Been fun, kind of, I'm sure it never stops, but getting like the creative juices going again for maybe future stuff down the line. And then also, will we be seeing like a return of all the of your models there, the whole team coming in to kind of bring it back and do like a season 2 maybe?
I think we have enough to do a season 2, whether we use more of my pre-existing work or start a new project from scratch.
Okay.
Yeah. We're hoping to do even bigger and better next round.
I did notice at the end of that right there, I was saying it does say photographic PFP drop. Is that something where you get a little more creative or open up the kind of the creative juices for this NFT world a little bit?
Yeah, I know exactly what I want to do for it too. I know PFPs are kind of the driving engine of this whole space. Yeah. And so Justin was like, you should do a PFP. And we thought about it a little bit. It's like, yeah, I know exactly how to do it. We could do it all photographically as well. And I don't think I'm supposed to be dropping what the idea is yet, but I'm super excited about it. I think we're going to spend most of the summer shooting like, what will end up being a 10,000 drop PFP at the end of the season.
Nice.
Oh, cool.
So that's going to be really exciting next. I can imagine the work that will go into that though too. Because obviously, it's not good.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's like it's like all of these photos have such detail, and that there's all this time and effort put into it, and we want to take that same ethic and bring it to a PFP.
Right.
Right. So people really feel like, oh my gosh, like this is incredibly unique. It's not to take anything away from any other project, but bringing the ethos that we've been, Josh obviously like pioneered, and then we kind of push forward with and sort of like pouring jet fuel on it with Kickstarter and these other resources. How can we create something? It's like, I mean, you kind of know, like, something like Claymates, right? When you see an animation, how much time and effort was put into that animation, back in the day with Claymates. You're like, oh my gosh, like to do this like 10-second clip, it probably took them like a week to do. And I think that's why that project, did as well as it did, and then they did their PFP drop and it was absolutely massive. Yeah. And, people understanding how much time and effort it takes to put into, the photos. Then we do a PFP drop, and it does have variations, and it does have rarities, and it does have sort of classic traditional, PFP stuff that is highly collectible, but people know that, the type of care and effort it took to create each one of the pieces. Yeah. I think is going to be really compelling for us. So that would be a great way to end season 2. And that's definitely the plan.
Awesome.
In season 1.
Great.
Or season 1. Sorry. Leading into
that's our great finale.
Yeah, right. Yeah, getting ahead. But no, that sounds great. I'm very excited for that and kind of see this evolve, like you said, over time. Who knows? Like you said, you got people, and you start with one route, and then there's so many new things that always can come up. So it's great that you guys have like a good set, solid plan right now, and then who knows where that can kind of grow from there. But I did want to quick mention for anybody asking about the minting details for the NFT stuff. You guys do see a partnership with CyberPickle here, so that's going to be how the mint is going to be done. Are you guys going to be doing it via your website? I do see a mint button up here.
Yeah, it's going to be through the website. That actually links to CyberPickle's website though.
Awesome.
So so they're phenomenal. We actually caught them really early before they started doing things like they just did Aetonauts.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a good drop.
Yeah, it was a good drop. I mean, they're really known for doing flawless drops, really paying attention to the details, making sure that the metadata is really, really good, just like end to end. And those guys, Matthew and Alexander, are just like the nicest guys and super responsive and just like everything that you would want in a partner. You know, they've brought so much to the project. We just cannot thank them enough. And just, you know, we're excited to, you know, do the entire season with them. It's just, they're just such a dream.
That's always a key thing, like I said, especially in this space where you can have such a good hype build up, and then if something goes wrong, God forbid, and you know, at the mid time, it just ruins that experience of there. So if you guys have a good solid mid partner in the beginning, that's a key important part of that. So I agree. The Ada Knots one was very smooth with CyberPickle, and I know they've done some other stuff as well. So that's awesome to hear from you guys too. So just wanted to showcase that before we wrap up here. But
yeah, appreciate that.
Yeah, guys. Well, Josh and JPEG, thank you guys so much for introducing us into this new world over here. It's like I said, it's always fun to get a chance to sit down with different people inside the space, or just throughout all walks of life, who are creating different mediums over here. And this is definitely one where I did not expect to do a horror NFT over here, but I'm pleasantly surprised over here and impressed. So, and it's been 100%. Very unsettling at the same time.
You've definitely shown some more of the unsettling work too. Like that's, you know,
well, we got to give them that, right? Like I got to
like give them that.
We don't want to just give them the mild stuff. We want to hit them.
Yeah, it's like the good with the gruesome. You know, it's like you got to show like the full range of work. And you know, I mean, but that's the thing. It's like, you know, that's some of that stuff you're looking at would be like a season 2. So season 1's really going to be focused on the childhood fears and some of the portraits, like Asylum, you know, like, you know, and yeah, so it's obviously, like, Josh has a ton of work, right?
Yeah.
And he does have some pieces that are not on the website, that have never been released, you know, that are mostly finished, that just need a couple other things, as well as a short film too. So one last thing that I want to mention, because we didn't get a chance to mention it, as you can see from all of his work, you know, he's building little mini movie sets. And, you know, every now and again, his work will sort of like come into the zeitgeist. You know, people will pick it up. You know, you heard him say like New York Times, Atlantic, you know, so like his stuff will just explode again, you know, just it'll happen. The last time that it happened, you know, Good Morning America was reaching out, you know, and then like, you know, eventually he gets an email from, you know, these two brothers, the Rousseau brothers. And I don't know if you've heard of this little film called Avengers Infinity War.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's amazing.
When you said that name, I was like, wait a minute. Okay.
Yeah. So it's a little indie film. Did, you know, it's a couple,
I don't think I heard of that one. I don't,
couple $1 billion
my radar.
At the box office. You know, but these are the type of people that just literally are just reaching out to Josh, right?
It's amazing.
And, that is awesome.
And the thing that we've always been focused on is like, there's this photography world, right? But Josh is a filmmaker, and, you know, what we want this to lead into is you know, the creation of feature films, because he has a number of projects. And, you know, the NFT, we really want the NFT project to, you know, definitely collectors first. We want to create a membership. But we also want people to know that, like, you know, there are other things that, you know, and other avenues that we want to explore. And we'd really like the NFT project to open that up.
Hey Josh, I'll be murdered in one of your movies if you want. I'll be the guy.
Stand it.
Right.
I could be a zombie. You can murder me. Whatever you want to do, man. That'd be cool.
Start collecting those one of ones. You know,
that's right.
Whales, right?
There you go. That's really cool to hear that medium too, because that's such an untapped market right now in the NFT world. Is film and music right now. Everybody's just kind of starting to explore that. And like we were saying earlier, we got a chance to talk to a film, Toxica, that released a full feature film, hour and 20 minutes or something like that. And it was all minted on the blockchain, which is actually insane that they were able to distribute it that way. So I can only imagine as the space grows, what that'll do. We always talked about and envisioned like a, whether it be like a Netflix or an HBO or something like that, where you log into that app on your TV or your Apple TV or something like that. Can you imagine a decentralized web-based application that you could have on your TV that would have your NFT marketplace and your movies, your photo, whatever it may be? That would be an amazing route to see some of the content that you guys are out here, because you guys are exploring.
It's coming. And see, that's the thing. It's like, regardless of what these companies say publicly, like, oh no, we're not in, that is bullshit. Like they are all looking into NFTs. They are all looking into interactive entertainment. They're all looking to make sure that this stuff, you know, like, because I have connections to that world as well as Josh, right?
Yeah.
And absolutely 100%, you know, that stuff, they want that stuff integrated, because they know that those are extensions of the world, right? And they know that that's just, you know, it's loyalty. right? It's like, watching the show, buying the NFT, being able to like unlock special features, all of that stuff. I mean, that is definitely the future of entertainment.
For sure. That's the exciting part. And then, like you said, the NFTs are such a cool way to build that that community around that. So you have a good fan base already built. And when you do push that medium out there, you already have a fan base already dedicated to purchasing that content.
Yeah. And we want to tell people, like, come into the Discord, because like, if you want to talk about horror movies, you will not find two bigger horror nerds than Josh and me. We're in there talking about like this movie from Alex Garland, Men, just came out, right? And we're in there talking about the symbolism, and like it's got a crazy ending. It's like, I'm not going to spoil it, but it's got a crazy ending. And we're like, what does this mean, right? And so like we want to like be that place where you come and you talk about horror movies and horror iconography and all that stuff, and just be that place. So
that was one.
I haven't heard of that one. It's he made the one with Oscar Isaac, though, the robot one, right? Ex Machina. Oh, that was fantastic. And Alicia Vikander. Oh, that was crazy.
That
was amazing. I need to check that out then. Men
too. Yeah, Men. Yeah.
Okay.
It's nuts. Yeah,
it's nuts. So I can imagine.
Not sci-fi.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. That's for sure.
Well, he does a good blend of that though too. Kind of like, he really keeps you at least interested in just like, where is this going? Like,
he's a masterful filmmaker.
Something new.
He's a masterful filmmaker. This is more Cronenberg than it is.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. I don't know why Cronenberg came to mind. I love scanners. So that's what the movie was going to ask about. But in your Discord and stuff, I didn't know if there was going to be, and I don't exactly know some of the laws on this too. I think it kind of seems like a gray area, but it's such a community thing. I don't know if there's like possibilities even for like movie nights. I know on Discord you can stream, like you can share your screen. So I don't know if there's even opportunities in the future for like people in certain parts of the Founders Club where you can like have like a Thursday night, you're just streaming, everyone's watching the movie together. I don't know how those work.
There's a massive amount of publicly available. Night of the Living Dead is,
I was going to say,
a public domain movie, right? And there's a ton of movies like that. There's also a feature on Amazon, which it's a watch together feature. So everybody can kind of rent the same movie and sort of watch it at the same time. So if there ever was a movie that like, was like, let's say The Thing or something, because like both Josh and I are just super geeks about that one, right? So there's definitely that. But I'm glad you mentioned that, because it's not a movie night, but on Thursday, I believe this might drop Thursday morning. So the same day, we're going to be doing a trivia night with BrightLeaf Laboratories.
Okay.
And in their Discord, which Josh wrote all the trivia questions. And so that's going to be at 1 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. UTC. So if you're watching this in the morning on Thursday, or maybe you're watching it on Wednesday night, drop into BrightLeaf, because they're going to actually give away one of their NFTs as one of the prizes.
Oh, awesome.
That's amazing. Yeah. That was going to be kind of one of the last questions here. So if anybody wants to get in contact with you guys, what's the best way to find you?
Oh, I would say definitely Twitter, Hoffine Horror. And then I'm on there, JP Gardner. I'm definitely like, constantly like talking about the project. And then our Discord. I mean, we really are trying to build this with a lot of other Discord communities. I'm in 200 servers, right? And I'm not checking those things every day, but like, I mean, like I can't, but I definitely check like probably 30 or 40 a day, right? Yeah. And, I'm reaching out to people, and we're building, this project, kind of one Discord whitelist giveaway at a time and one partnership at a time. And we really want to like, have people who are collectors who are in those communities come over to our community and kind of see that same thing, where it's like, oh shit, these guys are like really building something solid. Like, this is a great chat. This is not, a grind, right? People aren't just like, hey, what's going on? This and that. You can tell it's really authentic.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of different, channels that talk about horror photography and horror movies, or if somebody just wants to ask Josh a question, or, talk about, there's horror trivia, there's horror quotes, right? So we really want to focus it in around, as Josh I think has mentioned in some other interviews, you look at any demographic, about 50% of those people are horror fans. It doesn't matter what demographic it is. I know, Josh, you've talked about that before. I don't know if you had anything else.
Yeah, there's actual research studies on horror fandom. And in almost any population, any demographic, about 50% of the people identify themselves as horror fans. And there's an even larger percentage of people that casually interact with horror. But even though no one in Cardano probably knows about my work for the most part, I was very confident that 50% of the people there will probably like it, because they probably like horror. So you just lead big with what will connect you with people.
Well, it even happened with looking through your stuff. It's something that is fun and seems pretty common among the horror spaces. A lot of times when a lot of the best horror kind of comes out of nowhere at you. It's from somewhere that you maybe never heard of or really hasn't, not you specifically, but just, movies and things like that. It's like, this is this guy's second movie. He made like one indie or something before. This is his first kind of one with like a $20 million budget or something, or even much smaller. And you don't really even recognize any of the actors, but it's just kind of like, you have to go see this. Like it's just phenomenal kind of thing. It happens so often. So it's always such a nice surprise, and really kind of seems, at least more often than any other genre, especially, or even the possibility is in horror. So it's definitely even a surprise, kind of coming to these pictures, or looking through your photography was similar, where it's just like, oh, wow, what do we get into here, Tommy? This is kind of nuts.
Yeah. Well, it picks out like your emotions though too, right? Like whether you're a fan of it or not, like you have some sort of reaction to it, and it's like, yo, that's badass, or like, oh my God, I can't look at that. Like, it's one of the two.
I take them all as good reviews. Even if you hate it, it's like, oh, good. That's good.
That's the reaction you wanted.
I can't see that.
It's under your skin.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we really appreciate this, guys. It's been an awesome time to get a chance to get to know you guys, get to know a little bit about your backstory, Josh, and then it's amazing the work that you've been doing for all these years, and to now be at this point where it's coming onto the blockchain. That's really exciting, and it's really cool to see the next step. And then JPEG or Justin, it's been awesome for you to help guide him into this there with your knowledge you have, because I know, like you said, you're in multiple communities inside the Cardano space. So it's you got a great advisor here with you as well. And so
he's awesome.
Yeah. Well, guys, and obviously co-founders too. I don't want to just throw the advisor role out there. But yeah, guys, we really appreciate you guys jumping onto the stream tonight. And for everybody else who's listening, this has been another Freedom 35er sit down. We'll catch you guys on the next one.